Welcome to the Banter SMP Recap. My name is MDL, and I will be summarizing all the important events that happened during the last 14 days on the Banter SMP. Tewiie went around the server trying to convince people to join her cult. Most people declined, and Detective Agent Jacob interviewed everyone Tewiie was talking to. This led to the detective interrupting Tewie's conversation with Lew. Beforehand, she went to Spades to tell him that everything was okay and there was no need to worry anymore. Spades' suspicion rose, and after mentioning a temple, decided to take pursuit after her. After a long walk, Spades found Tewiie within the temple and, before being able to leave, was spotted and confronted, pinned up by a wall with no escape. Tewiie mentioned there's only one way Spades could leave freely, and before Spades was able to decide, a potion was thrown at him, having very adverse effects. After the potion was thrown, Tewiie was able to snap back to reality, regretting immediately what had happened. As she tried to help, Spades laughed, Tewiie fearful. It was revealed that Spades has always been with Lazarus, crushing any hope for Tewiie before going back to how she was before. Tewiie kept it hidden that there was now a partner with her and continued with her plans. These included her to go from door to door and persuade any member of the SMP to join the cult. As Tewiie searched for new recruits, she paid a visit to Maffi. As she did with everyone, she asked for Maffi's biggest wish and promised her Lazarus could fulfill it. Although initially curious about the scales of Lazarus's promises, Maffi refused, claiming to be loyal to Joey's faction only. Unintentionally, she slipped up, revealing that there is indeed someone who could alter her alliance. Maffi fled in horror, knowing Tewiie could use that information against her. After she was gone, Tewiie snooped through her chests to find clues about that certain someone. She found Maffi's diary, and with it, the story how she came to be factioned with Joey. Overwhelmed with loneliness and the difficulty of surviving in this new world, Joey rescued her at the verge of death. After a while, she started to question his actions and means, but didn't state her decision in the matter of her loyalty. The diary then suddenly switches to descriptions of a mysterious man who seemed to have stolen her heart. The man in question was nobody else but Detective Agent Jacob, and he was very unaware of her feelings for him. She feared for his life if Joey was to find out. Not knowing where to go, she fled to the detective. There she met General Bokak and Lew, which spontaneously invited her to join them in preventing the deal between Joey and Tewiie. Tewiie and Joey had a deal, a trade perhaps. It was to give Joey 6 combat-ready withers at a designated location. Joey, scanning the place, saw some flaws, wondering if the mushroom soldiers would know, since the mushroom village was so close by. Correctly enough, Lew already knew about the trade and was gathering his army to capture Tewiie before any trade could be stuck. Arguing could be heard. Tewiie was surrounded by all the mushroom soldiers, but before anything major happened, only a scream could be heard from Jacob, because Joey had arrived. Nothing could be struck with talking, only action would resolve this. Spades and Joey had a stare-off before both powering themselves up. Joey's tremendous power became the new focus of the mushroom soldiers, letting Tewiie slip away towards the meeting point. While the mushroom soldiers kept trying to take Joey down, it almost seemed impossible, but when Pandom showed up, all hope was lost. The deal got struck in a pyramid near the original meeting plants, but something was off. Joey seemed frightened by knowing Spades was in with this cult. He fled off with the skulls. Tewiie reminded him that it's these wither skulls messing up Joey's thoughts, and that he needed to trust them. The 6 withers are now locked within the Bastion vault under the name Withers of Lazarus. After a quick talk with Spades, Tewiie decided it would be the best idea to pretend that Spades captured her, since this seemed to be the best way to keep Spades' connection with Lazarus a secret. She was locked up in a cell under Lew's base. While Tewiie was being searched, they found a book. Not thinking too much into it, they read it out loud in front of Tewiie. The book confirmed another entity within Tewiie that now knows that the real Tewiie is still alive inside. The mushroom soldiers were arguing, but all along Tewiie only had her sight on Maffi. She tried to lure Maffi into joining her time and time again, revealing that she read her diary. Since Maffi didn't feel particularly welcome, she left the mushroom soldiers early. Spades had given Tewiie some ender pearls, so prison life was short. She took a trip home and wandered around the mushroom village until she came back to her cell, having her fun taunting the mushroom soldiers while they were gone to check out the Lazarus temple, also having visitors like Phantom and Joey to see if it was actually real that she had been locked up. Being annoyed after a long time in prison, she calls for help in the form of Fiona and Joey. Now she was trying to escape with the help of Joey, but they got interrupted by Lew and his gang of mushroom soldiers. Luckily, this was already planned by Tewiie, so she headed off to Joey's mansion. And the plan? To erase that Tewiie had ever lived by blowing up her base with TNT and a wither. Unsure how to fight the upcoming Lazarus threat, General Bokak mentioned an acquaintance of his, named Bartholomew Rees-Mogg, a highborn archaeologist specializing in desert ruins. Hearing the name Lazarus, Bart was more than willing to visit the temple and share his knowledge of the Llama entity. Arriving at the temple, he read a few murals and engravings on the wall. The expedition came to a sudden end, once Bart seemed to answer a voice which was non-existent to the other mushroom soldiers. In a frenzy, he fired his bow rapidly, shouting for the others to leave. Lazarus got in his head and drove him mad. In the midst of all of this happening, we finally got to see who the main designer of the shopping district paths will be. It was a fierce battle with many awesome designs, but only one could prevail. It was almost a tie between Max, Tewiie, and Okami, but Lew had the deciding vote, and Tewiie won with 3 votes. So from now on, Tewiie will be designing the shopping district roads. Honestly, I can't even wait to see what she does with the place. Weirdly enough, Joey took down his own path in confusion, but he built it up again later. A book containing information about an artifact came into possession of Lew. It said that the artifact, Holy Blade Wither's End, was stored in a bastion. The information was given by MDL himself. Before trying to get to the bastion, Lew paid Maffi's base a visit because of his growing suspicion on her. He found a path of flowers riddled with a dark and ominous poem. Eventually, he found and read her diary, revealing himself to be a challenger for Detective Jacob's heart. Lew had luckily acquired an elytra from Tewiie, since at the moment her rabbit Jeremy was living at Lew's mushroom base. With an elytra it wasn't hard getting to the bastion, but this bastion wasn't an ordinary one. It was a treasury bastion, known for being one of the more brutal structures in Minecraft. The piglin brutes seemed easy for Lew to handle, so he went down to the piglin's loot hall. There it was, the promised artifact, a netherite sword with Smite 5. It seemed fitting for what Lew was up against, though after he returned home, he heard whispers. It was the Wither Skull in his ender chest. The Wither Skull had also suddenly gotten a name. Not long after hearing these whispers, Joey showed up. The Wither Skull demanded to be transferred over to Joey, but Lew stood tall and refused. Luckily, no fight ensued, but Joey did say that he will come back. Joey had found what he once thought was impossible to find within the world border, a woodland mansion. He had set up camp in front of the mansion for anyone that would raid with him. Only Fiona showed up to camp with him. They made a swift clearing of the first floor, with only a diamond hoe as loot as they ventured further into the mansion. In the second floor of the mansion, they encountered the highly dangerous evokers. The second floor was cleared, and with new music discs and other small goodies in their pocket, they tackled the third and final floor. To both of their surprise, there was a zombie holding a totem of Undying on the third floor. They theorized that a zombie would be able to use it, and killing it only revealed the very annoying truth. After the raid was over, they split the emeralds 50-50 and head off to make it home through the nether. And that about does it for this episode of the Banter SMP Recap. Thank you all so much for watching. A massive thank you as always to everyone who had helped me on the script with this. Y'all are seriously amazing. Also a massive shout out to these people who thought it would be a great idea to support what I do. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and goodbye.
Yeah, I like it. I also want to talk to you about a few things.
Oh, okay.
Subscribe to it, okay? Click the notification bell.